Yo, what's going on, guys? Back with another trader recap today. Let's go over what we took in the markets during Trump's speech. So, starting off here, not really a whole lot to see on a higher time frame. What I noticed, on the hourly coming into today was, we had this, hourly gap right here in the market that we were originally respecting at around 8 a.m. Obviously, Trump's speech today started at around 8:30, and you can see this is, the result of that speech. And overall, I'm wanting this, NWOG to be our weekly objective. That's kind of what I was looking for overall. So, basically once I'm seeing this move down here and I'm seeing us start to recover up, we have highs stacked up towards NWOG. I'm actually bullish more so than, being bearish, looking for more sell side. Also, at this point here at these lows, we had SMT with ES to some extent, with these other draws on liquidity. So, I'm looking to be bullish if given the opportunity. So scaling down to a 15-minute time frame here, as you can see here, we end up forming a 15-minute fair value gap going into the market open. So at this point now, this is my condition in the market. I'm looking to see the market hold this 15-minute gap. And then if we, end up flipping it, I may consider these, sell side levels at that point. So now that I see this 15-minute gap, holding, getting tapped, I'm looking to long. So unfortunately, we ended up taking a loss initially, and we tried this long here at 9:38. Pretty much just saw that we tapped into this 15-minute, got really solid displacement up out of it, and tapped into 50% of it as well. I liked this displacement move, and I wanted to just see this, essentially this, pre-market high, 9:25 a.m. high here. So pretty much a 1-hour trade, and I pretty much was expecting, solid delivery, seeing this displacement out. Now, again, keep in mind, Trump was having his speech, so of course the market is, fluctuating based on what he's saying. But, if you were listening to the speech at all, he was literally just giving out complete buy signals, and you just had to find like a point of entry in the market, especially with, all the draws that we had higher. So unfortunately got stopped out of this, and then it offered a much better entry, which I faded, and I was going to take this 1-minute inversion here, but we ended up closing this, not ideal, the way I'd want to see. We closed it, had this wick, right as we closed, and ideally want to see like a, much stronger close, but this was a very solid trade, and honestly, I was going to take this exact trade, pretty much, something like this. So I was pretty much just going to enter here and put my stop at the low of that displacement candle, and again just target these highs right here. This would have offered just shy of a 2R, and this delivered beautifully up to the buy side draw, and delivered even further past that. But yeah, I just faded that entry, and then wanted to look for more of my textbook continuation. So right here you can see we have this leg up here, and we leave behind this 1-minute fair value gap. And at this point, we had this 1-minute gap, and we also had, a 2-minute gap below it as well down here. Now, when I'm looking at this 2-minute, I'm essentially kind of anticipating it to be a breakaway gap because the third candle here had, pretty strong displacement, and, we're overall strong in this leg right here. And I'm anticipating that this hourly gap fill is, the short-term draw, seeing this price action. So what I did was, waited for a reaction out of this 1-minute, which we got here on the 954 candle, and I entered there, as you could see. And then I just put my stop here at the, first candle of the gap, put it at its wick low, and then pretty much went break even at the hourly gap tap. Basically, if price wanted to be bearish and this was some form of retrace, then, I'm protected by going break even at, the fill of an imbalance. Then, as you can see, we had a devil's mark here and a 15-minute gap, which I can show you guys here. So you can see we had a candle that had no top wick, and then this is also a 15-minute gap as well. So just another area to see how price reacts. Now, initially, we came up here and we were starting to stall. And again, this is still kind of like going in correlation with Trump's speech as well. But like I'm overall bullish. You can see the move that we had up from the open. And, again, I'm assuming NWOG to be the overall weekly objective, which you can see we came up to the NWOG here, stalled out, and now we're starting to kind of come lower. But yeah, so pretty much one break even at the hourly gap. Wanted to see how we react at this 15-minute gap and devil's mark. We did end up coming down and then came into a 5-minute. So right here, we had a 5-minute gap, and my break even was just protected by the gap. So ideally, if we wanted to retrace to go higher and just do a shallow retrace, this 5-minute, should have held, which you could see that it did. And then we kind of got a little bit slow here, and then eventually met my TP at 368. Now, the only reason I have my TP at 368 and, not at for example, not at this, 15-minute gap fill for 1R, is just because I was looking to pass these combines. So basically, where this TP was 368 gave me just enough to pass the combines here. So as you can see, we have combines passed. They took one of the accounts already. We have these four that are still waiting to be, I guess, passed. But yeah, so we passed these in about 3 days. Not too bad. You can see my win rate about 80%. So I believe I might have lost I lost a single trade. We took 5 trades across 3 days. I lost one, which was today. And then the other 4 were winners. So pretty decent stats. Again, this is a combine, so it's not really, anything to be impressed of, but definitely not too bad at all. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers the recap. Pretty simple. I had mentioned the beginning of this week when I saw this NWOG, I wanted to see this get filled at some point, and I wanted to just be bullish, look to long. And, yesterday, we very well could have gone up and taken it. And you can see, we end up stalling, coming down. And then, with Trump's speech today and all the remarks he made, you can see we just completely just ran up in the market and then ended up taking out that weekly objective. So now, from this point, we could very well, this could have been our retrace for price to want to go lower. We can see we are reacting pretty strong here. But again, can't predict the market. You can only react to it. So, we'll see what it looks like going into tomorrow. But yeah, that covers the recap. I think today was, relatively simple. And, honestly, when you're seeing this strong momentum up, you're pretty much just looking for retraces into draws on liquidity that are clear. And, that's kind of what we got today. Now this could have delivered a little bit cleaner, but I mean, overall the trade played out. We went break even at a make sense spot. And then, our break even ended up being protected by a 5-minute gap. But, delivery just got a little bit wonky with the speech. And I initially wasn't going to trade today, but once I saw price action was actually moving pretty clean with the speech, I was anticipating that this trend was just going to end up holding, through these buy side levels. So yeah, that covers the recap. As always, if there's any other content that you guys want to see, be sure to leave a comment. I'm trying to make, as much content as I can, and especially content that can help you guys. So definitely leave some recommendations. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. Helps me grow and, gives me more motivation to continue making videos for you guys. And yeah, that covers the recap. See you guys in the next one. Later.